To add these fractions, we need a common denominator, just one common denominator. So we draw a single line and write LCM down here so we don't get confused how we solve problems that simplify as opposed to problems that you're actually solving for an answer. To find an LCM, we need an m, which is multiply. So we'll factor this first denominator, breaking down the first term and the last term. And checking the signs, it's a plus means they're the same. So if you want to know what they are, you look over here and they're both subtraction. The second denominator also factors. It is 2 times x. The parentheses aren't necessary. I always use parentheses when there's addition and subtraction, but here I just wanted you to note that they are multiplied together. So that's the m part. C is common. Although this is an x minus 2, this one does not have the same relationship. It's not 2 minus x or x minus 2, it's 2 times x. So there's nothing common, and I'm going to have to do the L as all the leftovers. So I'm going to need the x minus 2 and the x minus 1 as well as the 2 times x. The idea of getting a common denominator is that the fraction to begin with has to stay equivalent to what it was, and I want it now to look like this. So our first denominator is missing the 2 times x, so I'll do that both in the denominator and the numerator. And I notice that in the numerator there's subtraction, so I use parentheses. The second denominator is missing both the factor x minus 2 and the other factor x minus 1. But I'm going to be multiplying that to the 7. So as opposed to writing these two factors separately, I'm going to go back to originally what they were. X minus 2 times x minus 1 is x squared minus 3x plus 2. Now on this one line, I'm going to multiply out my two numerators. So I get a 2x times a 3x is 6x squared, and a 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. And this addition, thank goodness, because if it was subtraction, we'd have to do a whole lot more work. 7x squared. 7 times negative 3 is negative 21x. And 7 times 2 is 14. And this is why I suggest making a very long line for your numerator. So our denominator doesn't change, but I'm going to move the 2x to the front. We still have x minus 2 and x minus 1. And now in the numerator, we're going to combine like terms. We have a 6x squared and a 7x squared is 13x squared. We have a negative 2x and a negative 21x is negative 23x. And then we also have 14. Now we're not done with this problem unless we know for sure that it doesn't reduce. All fractions in your final answer must be reduced. In order to reduce this, I would have to factor the numerator. So the last step in adding and subtracting fractions is to try and factor the numerator. We have no choices for the first term. I would need to use a 1x and a 13x. The last term I have a couple of choices, 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. But if I'm going to try and make 23, see, 7 times 13 is 91, and that's going to be way too big. 2 times 13 is 26, but adding or subtracting 7 won't work for us. 14 times 13 is huge. 14 times 1 is 14, but if I add or subtract 13, I still wouldn't get 23. So in fact, this is all reduced, and this is our final answer.